Good afternoon and welcome to this webinar on how girls are using photography to create change in Indonesia. I promise you will not regret taking this hour with us. We have some amazing stories to share with you today. Panelists across Hong Kong, Indonesia, and of course, most importantly, the most fantastic work from girls themselves in Bali. My name is Adam Human. I'm Empower's Vice President of Development and Communications. Empower is very, very happy to host this webinar series in partnership with Citi. This is the second of 3 webinars that we're going to do together. And what we're seeking to do is to tell untold stories about the pandemic. We are honored to be doing this with our partner, Citi for Education. We're thrilled that this is the 9th year of our partnership together. And Joyce and all the Citi folk listening today, I want to say how grateful we are for your phenomenal support. Of course, both your financial support, but also the partnership that we share. And it's that partnership, along with the partnership with our grantee partners, such as East Bali Poverty Project, that helps us achieve some of the things you'll hear about today. Our agenda today, we'll hear about Citi's innovative E4 Education campaign, of course, and the work that Empower is doing to center young people's voices in our COVID-19 response. Because of very patchy internet in Bali, we've done a pre-recorded fireside chat with one of Empower's amazing grantee partners in Bali, East Bali Poverty Project. And then internet connection dependent, and our fingers are crossed for this, we have David here in person to answer your questions. So let me introduce our panelists, Pritanya Savitri and David Booth from East Bali Poverty Project, Kundavi Balachandran, one of Empower's Southeast Asia experts, and Joyce Skidell from Citi. Everyone knows the devastation that COVID-19 is continuing to make in countries around the world, particularly in emerging markets. What we'll dive deeper into in this webinar is about the hidden impacts of COVID-19, specifically in Indonesia. What's happened to communities where there were already marginalized communities before the pandemic began? What's been the experience? What's been the reality for young people in those communities? In the communities we work in, of course, young people were already experiencing barriers in their lives way before the pandemic. Barriers to education, barriers to employment, barriers of violence. In many areas, it's estimated that only one out of 3 will return to school. But we'll also see the incredible resilience of young people and the incredible resilience of the organizations working with them. A few notes before we begin. This webinar will be recorded and available later on. We would love your questions throughout. Please submit these at any time. Just use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. If you'd like to, you can also direct who you'd like to answer the question. Now, I'm very, very glad to welcome Joyce Skidell, Director of FX E-commerce Sales at Citibank. Joyce leads the Citibank E4 Education campaign effort in the APAC region. Thanks for joining us, Joyce.
Thank you, Adam, and welcome everybody who's joined the call today. Citi is very happy to participate in this webinar series in partnership with Empower today. And I'm really so excited to talk about the campaign that we've been working on so closely with them together over the years. CitiFX started the campaign in 2013 to raise awareness and funds for educational-focused charities and nonprofits, really to improve the access to quality education. Over the years, it's been a huge success and has grown considerably. In fact, it now runs across our entire markets business. This year, we have added 3 new charities to the campaign for a total of 13 charity partners, and together we're really making a huge impact. Since 2013, we've raised over $47 million, reaching and enriching the lives of 785,000 students in 31,000 schools across 84 countries. This year, we've also had the opportunity to hire 2 full-time analysts into our markets business on the back of a scholarship program that was directly created for E4 Education, and we hope to continue that effort. We're so glad to have partnered with with Empower since the start of the campaign. Really seeing the incredible impact that it's had on the young people has been amazing. Through the effort of the campaign, we've impacted over 125,000 students with Empower, and 70,000 of those have happened to have been female, which is fantastic. And through this effort, these people and students have been able to stay in school, improve their educational outcomes, learn 21st century skills like computers, and receive high quality education that is relevant for their lives, which means that they are more prepared for a successful future. We really hope this is our biggest campaign yet to support today's youth, and appreciate your support as well. The campaign is actually already underway, and it runs through October 29th, where Citi will donate a portion of all the trades that are executed with us to the 13 nonprofit partners that we work with, including Empower. So we're really looking forward to today's session, hearing more about the wonderful work that Empower is doing. And with that, I will turn it back over to you, Adam. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joyce. The E for Education initiative has truly been a game changer for Empower's work in education. And as you say, supporting 125,000 young people directly thanks to Citi support is absolutely amazing. Our world at Empower is all about making sure that young people who are living at the margins have the skills, have the opportunities, and the power to reach their full potential. Empower partners with nearly 100 local organizations across 15 emerging market countries. Each of these partners have deep roots in their communities. We ensure that money raised through the Citi for Education campaign gets through to the right places, that the funds make an immediate impact in the lives of young people. And we build long-term, 10-year, and that's really, really unusual in the sector, up to 10-year relationships to help our partners do what they do even better. And in partnership, we seek to bring out change that is really going to be sustainable for young people. During the lockdowns and the travel restrictions of the last 18 months, local organizations were sometimes the only way that support could get through. Responding to urgent needs in their communities, our partners have had to pivot away from their usual activities, which include things like skilling, social entrepreneurship, sometimes just to meet basic needs, such as food aid. At Empower, we've de-restricted funding, we've provided emergency funding to help them do so. But the needs of young people in emerging markets is changing. And we know that because we've asked them directly. We believe that young people are the experts on their own lives. They are the ones that are best positioned to inform practitioners, to inform policymakers on the changes that they want to see. The title of this webinar series is COVID in Her Voice, because that's the title of the research that's led by the girls themselves. Using a really innovative participatory action research methodology, adolescent girl leaders interviewed their peers across 7 different locations. They were getting at what their worries and challenges are, how to overcome those. The strategic recommendations from that report come from the girls themselves. What those young women told us is that this is a pivotal moment. They told us that they're worried about their education, their opportunities. They told us about an increased pressure to get married. They told us about the problems of online access, with many not being able to access at all. They told us the need for a deepened focus on mental health. But they told us most of all that in order to realize any of these suggestions, the very first step is a seat at the table. They told us that actually we're going to need to unlearn some of the things that haven't been successful to date. We're going to need to build back in a more inclusive way that puts young people, that puts particularly girls at the center. It is their own voices, it's their own leadership that must forge the way forward. To bring this to life in the context of East and Southeast Asia, I'm thrilled for our next conversation. Welcome to Kundavi Balachandran, who is one of our East and Southeast Asia experts. And she develops and leads our grantee partnerships across Southeast Asia, and she'll be interviewing our special guest today. Britannia Savitri is the Assistant Empower Program Coordinator of East Bali Poverty Project, and David Booth is the founder, trustee, and CEO. East Bali Poverty Project is an amazing partner They work in one of the most remote areas of Indonesia, and they work with especially vulnerable young people. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to you, Gunda.
Thank you, Adam. I'm very glad to be here today to share a conversation that I had with one of our inspiring grantee partners, East Bali Poverty Project, which showcases some of the amazing work that we support in partnership with Citi. We support local solutions that aim to address the need for safe, inclusive environments that nurture learning for all, regardless of gender, sexual orientation, migration status, ethnicity, caste, religion, or disability status. Our partners provide a range of approaches from academic support inside or outside of classrooms, teacher trainings, 21st century skills, prevention of school dropouts, closing the gender gap in schools, developing cognitive and non-cognitive skills such as creativity, collaboration, and communication, and addressing poor self-image. This is challenging enough on a good day. And then COVID happened. Every one of us has been impacted by the global pandemic. It is, however, in no way an equalizer. The communities served by our grantee partners are some of the worst impacted. Over and above the immediate challenges of inadequate healthcare, slow rate of vaccinations, and income insecurities of families, there is growing awareness on the long-term effects of the pandemic for young people whose education and job prospects have been put on hold. Adam mentioned the digital divide. On top of that, many young people have competing demands on their time, which is significantly higher for girls who have had to shoulder more household chores. There have been notable increases in child marriages, 300% increase in Indonesia alone, and unwanted pregnancies. Unemployment, lack of interaction with friends, and disillusion about the future have exacerbated mental health concerns amongst youth. In spite of these challenges, our grantee partners have shown much resilience, finding really meaningful ways to support the young people with the limited resources at hand, coming together, sharing and learning from each other, and consistently holding space to create awareness on the hidden impacts of COVID. One such strong organization is East Bali Poverty Project. I'm thrilled to share a conversation with you today that I had with two staff members of EBPP, founder and CEO David, and program coordinator Britannia. Not only does East Bali Poverty Project provide schooling and critical support to some of the most remote communities in Bali, but they have also recently been working on a project called Photo Voices, in which they teach girls photography and videography. The girls use these skills to capture aspects of their lives and highlight issues for social change, whether that's early or forced marriages, the need for safe housing, or the difficulty of finding data connection for their online learning. I'm happy to share my conversation with Britannia and David with you now. It's my privilege to welcome David and Britannia for today's session. East Bali Poverty Project works in one of the most remote areas within Indonesia and Bali. Can you describe for us what life is like for young people in your community? What challenges do girls in particular face?
Life has always been quite difficult for young people in these mountain communities due to the steep and sandy terrain and the lack of roads, the remoteness from the communities, one community to another, and from one house to another for our students. Majority do not live near their community centre or near the school, so they have to walk each day. You can see the locations of the 6 schools on map 1, and you see the location of Bang Village. The location of the 6 schools are shown in yellow. And then down in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see the Bali map and the relationship of our village, Ban village, to the rest of Bali. And if you then look at the satellite map, you can get a much better idea of steep mountain terrain and the very limited road infrastructure. And the problem, and this problem, and the short 4 to 5 months rainy season and lack of any rivers or water supply results in very low income for all the families. And this is the basically all subsistence farmers. And to support our students' families, especially during the COVID now, we've been providing monthly food since May last year. The big concern was that if there were families were too short of food, they might try to force their children to drop out of school to work. We've been successful, that hasn't happened. Now, however, since the start of the COVID pandemic, their remoteness that was a curse previously has now become a benefit, because all the 19 hamlets in the community are all scattered far from each other. They're accessed only by one track. So this enabled them to lock off each community. Even though lockdown, they were so free to come out of their houses. And hence our teachers were able to continue. The next question, what challenges do girls in particular face? The general view in Bali Hindu society is that women are lower than men. This is traditional from hundreds and hundreds of years. From ancestral duties and responsibilities in the family, the men are the head of the family. And the women are meant to look after the house and look after the children. Fully aware of this from the beginning, EBPP has always emphasized gender equality in all our schools. But of course, in the home, the girls struggle.
So Britannia, could you illustrate to our Citi audience how COVID has affected young people in these communities?
Yes, thank you. The pandemic has disrupted the social life, education, and economy of young people in Ban village. For example, remote learning has been a serious challenge to education, as the students do not have access to computers, and most had never operated smartphone before the pandemic. Furthermore, limited internet access forces EDP students to study or to attend online classes where connectivity is possible, such as in the fields, in their farm, braving the hot sun and rain. In terms of livelihood, young people often have to sacrifice their study time to work in order to support their families. All of our students' families are farmers, and the salaries have gone down due to the pandemic, forcing them to find other sources of income. It is also worth noting that the pandemic has impacted the girls more than the boys. Girls are more vulnerable to the risk of school dropout, sexual harassment, child labor or exploitation, and of course, child and early forced marriage during the COVID-19 crisis.
So Britannia, when you say there is very limited connectivity, how have you been able to connect to the students during this pandemic?
Yes, first thing first, before the students had smartphone, we used to visit their village to distribute the handouts. But we found out it's not effective since it's COVID anyway. And we have travel restrictions to visit the village. So we only have like once a week to visit them, and we have only limited time to explain the material for them. And then APP support the students with smartphones and mobile data plan, and we can just like make schedule. So every time they have spare time after they visit their house after going from the farm, we can have online classes or discussions, because they can find connectivity in their farms or in the nearest forest around their village. Sometimes they found connections there. We just make schedules for each school.
How does East Bali Poverty Project support young people, specifically their education?
Well, children's education has always been at the forefront since 1998, when the Ban village mountain communities asked us to help with our mission to empower illiterate and malnourished children through integrated and relevant education, improve nutrition, and stay healthy principles. Now, at that time, more than 90% of the community were illiterate, 85% of children were malnourished, and in addition to no schools, the communities have no access to healthcare or water, clean water, toilets, or electricity. And they were, as UNICEF chief nutritionist put it when I met him, the forgotten village. Now move forward in my 1999 photo, when I'm in Bognor School, and my guy told me, Coleman told me our kids could read and write after 3 months. I was up there to check it. So I started asking children questions in Indonesia, specifically about nutrition and health. And I wrote keywords on the blackboard. And then I told them to write. And in my photo, you can see I'm bending down and looking, I'm just so proud. They could all write after only 3 months. It was amazing. Now, from our first schools to the present day, nutrition, sanitation, hygiene, stay healthy principles, art, Balinese dance, and music has been included in all our curriculums until the present day. Now, fast forward to early 2020, and in my second photo, you can see the girls leading the conversation. This was an Empower class in our Dalmaji school, where they were joined by the Jatituhu boys and girls. Now, finally, tertiary education. Since 2005, we sponsored 18 graduates university, of which 11 have been girls. And in our 2020 graduates, we had a new sponsor coming on board. And he sponsored 9 graduates, all that want to go on the courses they wanted to take. But unfortunately, due to the COVID, he is not able to continue. He promised to continue sponsoring graduates for as long as we require. And the reason being the tourism industry. And when COVID stops, and if he can restart his 3 Bali hotels and start making profit, and then he'll be committed to continue sponsoring all of our future graduates. So all we can do is hope and pray that the COVID situation reduces the extent when Bali tourism is due to open. The government's planning it now for November this year, but it all depends. As you know, with these COVID infections, it comes in waves.
Thanks, David. So now, can you tell us now about the Photo Voices project?
The Girl Empowerment Photo Voices project was quite different from other Empower funded program. And it was very exciting because despite having to lead the project online due to the COVID-19, we were able to engage the girls in fun trainings on photography, writing, and public speaking in order to develop their communication, critical and analytical thinking skill, as well as their leadership.
If you can just illustrate, because you spoke about the photography skills, they go into the community, identify a need, and then amplify it through the photographs, and then go and connect and present it in a forum where you had government officials. What is the goal it's working to achieve, and why is this so exciting and impactful?
So basically, Photo Voices approach is designed to engage and empower community members to involve them in decision-making process through photography, research, and presentations, as well as discussions with the stakeholders, including decision makers. I think that photo voice approach is very impactful because it produces great output and outcomes using a very simple methods of telling story to voters. And the goals are to improve, to provide opportunities for community members to dig deeper their concerns, to voice their concerns, and most importantly, uh, to have a say, in decision that impacts their life. So through Photo Voices, we encourage the girls to take actions in addressing socioeconomic issues in their community, and we also help amplify their voices and clearly demonstrate how the girls can inspire and play important roles in their village. And this project, yes, this project also brings up the discussions on child and early forced marriage preventions and child protection among the community leaders. And I can proudly say that uh, the girls were pushing in this. Yeah, and then I think that these girls are showing their potential to become their community's future leaders.
And so in this way, this is where our Empower, especially the Girl Fund program, has, with our team working sensitively with the students, listening to their everything, and they've, with their present PowerPoint presentations also, they've been able to get over all the key issues within their communities and have their voices heard to the families, the local communities, local government, and the regional government. So it's been a very, very big plus.
So for us at Empower, it's not easy to find communities that are able to create opportunities to directly have connections to the powers of the day. And East Bali Poverty Project's Photo Voices project has really amplified that, because one, they work in a really remote part of Bali, and to bring young girls to talk about really sensitive topics like early and forced marriages, the lack of gender equality, the infrastructure challenges that they face, to connect with the community and directly talk to the powers of the day is really magnificent. So it's really a privilege for us to be a part of this project.
And one of the most interesting part for me in this project is how we managed to include mentorship strategy. So through several capacity building training sessions, we empower all the girls who have graduated from high school, were working, or were studying at the university, but had to stay in the village due to the pandemic to become mentors for the young girls. And we believe that through mentorship components on Photo Voices project, it will help to increase the girls or the participants' self-esteem, confidence, and most importantly, the bond between girls and their role models in their community.
So what has been the impact? Because the girls presented their findings to the local politicians and government officials. How has that boosted their morale? How has it affected your program as a result?
Well, I think a very important impact is our village head. There's one village head for our 19 hamlet village. And he in fact was exceedingly impressed. He made a speech himself of how proud he was. And he is now working to try and implement some of these changes that were requested through our girls. And I think it drew the attention of the regent of our regency as well. So it makes you very proud, the girls not even being in the classroom, communicating remotely with our team. It's been exceedingly successful.
What are you most proud of over the past year as your program or the young people have had to adjust to COVID?
Well, we're exceedingly proud of the fact that our children have been able to continue their education. And secondly, that there's been no dropout. I think that's a lot has been to do with the wonderful, dedicated way our academic and empowered teachers have enabled the kids to communicate day and night, because this has been the difficulty for the students finding a signal. Sometimes at 9 or 10 at night, the children who could just find a signal are communicating. So they've in fact been able to advance quite significantly during this period of time. So we're exceedingly proud of that. The other thing, we're proud of all our children have been vaccinated with 2 COVID vaccinations from the age of 12 years old upwards.
I think one thing that I quite really proud of my students, they have improved their skills. They have improved their skills. For example, the girls, they were able to become accustomed to using internet, to study or to do their own research. Even some girls have improved tremendously in the way they use technology, such as using video editing apps to create video presentations. Yeah, and also the combination between the photo voices approach and the mentorship strategy, it has empowered the girls. It has truly empowered the girls. The girls are more confident in expressing themselves and in speaking in public. Even some girls have shown great leadership skills by taking initiative to lead group work or help their friends with assignment, and the mentors as well. They initiate small group presentation sessions for younger girls during the Girl Empowerment Photo Voice project.
We're very proud indeed. The voice has been heard. That's the most important thing.
My final question is, what are your hopes for the future?
The hope that there are 3 major hopes for the future. And the hope is that we're not quite sure, the government hasn't informed us, next month or the month after, the kids will be back in the classroom. The kids will be absolutely delighted to actually see their friends again. Businesses, I'm hoping, will start open again, and the tourism industry will come back. Secondly, is that the road infrastructure that we've been pushing for a long time, and you'll probably recall on the satellite maps, are connected by a dirt road, which in the rainy season is dangerous. So my hope is that the road infrastructure will be completed. Water, there's no water in that area except when it rains, and that's only 4 to 5 months a year. So it means the farming is not effective except for basic crops 4 or 5 months a year. The economy is not good. We've researched for water resources. We're hoping to get water and crops there, and the roads improve there. We're desperately hoping, it's been promised for a long time, that the internet connection will soon be available throughout all of our communities where our schools are. Because a dream I've had for years is that many of our graduate students would be able to work from home, either market research, IT, developing computer apps, stay within their communities and directly help their community. Now it's not really possible. So that's a dream I've got. It's been promised by the government. Fingers crossed, it will materialize in this next year and life will improve significantly.
So thank you very much, David and Britannia, for giving us your time and allowing Citi and all of us to enjoy in the success and appreciate the hard work that has gone into this project. Thank you and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. For me, it's always a privilege to me to see the kids grow and develop and seeing a better future is in sight. It's a better future every day. Every day they're learning, it's a better future. Thank you so much. We're very grateful for, of course, Empowered Grants. Without those, we couldn't have got half as far as we have.
Great to see that video, and really appreciate the work of East Bali Poverty Project. I'm really pleased that we have time for questions, and we already have some questions coming in. So if all panelists can turn their videos on, please. It looks like the internet connection gods have been friendly to us, and it looks like David is still with us. So while the going is good, let me start with a question that for you, David. You talked about some of the pressures that are faced. The question is, what do you do if young people stop attending school or are put in a position of early forced marriage?
Both of these issues we've been tackling since the very beginning, actually, even the school dropout. And what we've done, myself and our key people, our teachers, and Coleman Kernewan, our team leader up there, and vice chairman of the foundation, they will literally, first of all, ask their friends, do they know why it's not coming to school? And then go and talk with the parents to find out what's the reason. Usually it's because of the economic needs, because they're all exceedingly deprived families. And I would say in 30 or 40 cases, the kids have come back. Now, with the early forced marriage in these remote communities, prior to our work there with the communities, well, of course, there was nothing to do but, you know, what yes, people do together. And their parents had many times, the mothers had a miscarriage or lost a baby before, and therefore they needed hands on site to go and work in their very remote fields of mountains. And so the situation's changed a lot now. It's improved, but it's still happening, unfortunately, and it usually is within their communities, or because my biggest fear was, and it is coming to happen now, that having the internet, accessing Facebook and meeting people on there on social media, and even some don't know them except they watch them, they talk to them. The girl finds a boy, she's attractive to him, they get something going. And again, once they become pregnant, we've tried to convince the girls, fine, okay, we can't stop you getting married. When you've had the baby, come back to school. But again, their husbands don't let them. They're too ashamed in their family to come back. And it's been heartbreaking on so many occasions for me. Some of this, there was one or two of the smartest kids. Yeah. But you know, unfortunately, the laws in Indonesia is the age for marriage is 19 and above. But in Bali, there's a very different situation where they have the traditional laws in their communities. And they know the government laws, but they make their own. And they're allowed to do that. The Bali Hindu community, what they call the traditional adat system, that law reigns higher than the national law of the country. So unfortunately, it's not supported, but now we're in the process from our first school, Dharmaji, deciding they would make their own local laws that would be a strict penalty for either school dropout or early marriage. And that now that's implementing in Dharmaji community. There's a recent meeting a few days ago for the Manikaji, and we're hoping one by one, once these laws, the local laws are introduced within their community, the community must follow them at the penalty, very severe penalties if they don't. So we are now hoping that, and this has all been the result of our Empower programs, that we've been able to get closer to the girls and the boys, of course, and the boys and girls have come together. So the gender equality started about a few years ago with the Spark program in 2008, I believe, 2018, when Mount Agung was still on the alert. And the boys created a song with the girls, Stop Harassment. And so there's so many proud things. You know? Yeah. Okay, I hope that answers your questions.
That's super, David. Any other panelists want to contribute to that before I move on to the next question? Moving on. So I have another question for David. May I know what was the main motivation to use photographs as the medium to campaign their messages?
Well, this our partner, Amy Cardamom, has been working with us for a long time, previously on as a health volunteer. And when she raised this I think it was our 2016 program, when we had the first Spartan Ignite grant. And I'd never heard, none of us had heard of Photo Voices, but a close family friend who was running the Photo Voices in Bali. And we met, it was clarified to me. I said, my God, this is amazing. Telling stories through photographs and interviews, but it gives the girls, gives the boys and girls the voice, but primarily the girls, they can be heard. And from that first pilot project in 2016, the results were our students then working with Amy Carmon and our team and her team, creating their own videos, creating PowerPoint presentations with photographs they've taken to get their message over. So it's turned out to be one of the biggest blessings of having the Empower program, that we can implement programs directly, present them to government. And this was 2017 with the first one, that we invited government then. And they were so incredibly impressed. They made many promises, but unfortunately, as you probably understand, not many of these promises were implemented. But you keep pushing, you don't give up. So a lot of the same problems put forward this time, we have had a very positive response from our village head and from the representative of the region of Karangasem Regency. When he heard what the program was, he stood up at the front of the presentation and told all the members, we are fighting for these girls. Listen to their voices. We will take action. So yes, very, very proud. It's been a very powerful instrument in our work.
Fantastic. Thanks, David. Staying with you for one more, and then I have a few for Kundabi as well. We have a question on the prevalence of child labour. Is the issue of child labour prevalent in the village? If so, are parents receptive to the value of education versus the income that child may bring?
It's been very minimal. The boys, especially some of the most remote houses, were being recruited to jobs in Denpasar from the age of, say, 12, 13 years old. And a couple of girls also be housemates. Once we identified who was in fact facilitating this, talked with the community and prevented those people coming into the village, that was able to be stopped. But unfortunately, the parents, because the majority of the parents are still, okay? And all they see, they want to put food on the table. They've got the basic economic needs. And they obviously know from their own parents, but previously, before there were education programs, the girls and boys could work in the fields, and very few worked outside then because there weren't any roads or any communication with the rest of Bali. But as this communication improved, that's been also a bit of a curse. But that is reduced now. It's very, in the last 12 months, of course, with the COVID, since COVID started, haven't been any of the cases. And very, very few in the last 2 to 3 years, since we've really focused very heavily on that, educating the communities, educating the parents and the local government. So it's in the village itself, of course, no, it's when they're recruited to go and work outside, because they have a high reputation of being very diligent and hardworking people, unfortunately. Okay.
Fantastic. And staying on this theme, but slightly different, I want to address this one to Kundavi. After education, obviously the next big hurdle in their lives is getting a decent job. Can you tell us a little bit about how Empower supports that transition from education to work?
Well, since are you asking me?
Let me bring in Kundavi first of all.
Okay.
Empower's Hong Kong strategy's investment in inclusive education in the region is intentionally built. So it also allows for strong pathways for sharing and learning between our partners across other thematic pillars, which include economic empowerment and safe and healthy lives. So for example, a grantee partner who kind of contributes to inclusive learning can specifically connect to a Empower partner who works on economic well-being, who train marginalized young people, amongst others, in more advanced job readiness and career planning skills, and exposing them to different career paths kind of preparing them with 21st century skills, or partners of the Safe and Healthy Lives pillar can offer comprehensive sexuality education to marginalized young people, either within the inclusive education pillar or the economic empowerment pillar. So it's intentionally built to allow for cross-fertilization, allow for collaboration, so that it creates more opportunities for all of the young people that we serve.
Thanks so much. A question for Joyce coming. How does the Citi E3 program align with Citi's philanthropic priorities and values?
Sure. So, at Citi, we're always trying to do the best for our clients and make sure that we do the best for the community that we possibly can. And so we saw that, this sort of a program definitely aligned with our core values of doing the right thing and doing the best for our communities. So we take a great pride in the program that we run every year, and the campaign and the work that the whole team works around it. And it's very much we run it like a business. We want to make sure that it has the most impact that it possibly can, just like we do with anything else that any other ventures that we go into. We believe in it, and I think the results speak for itself. The impact that in terms of the funds that have been raised has been a direct impact on the effort that's been made internally to make people aware of the campaign and include our clients and get them on board and have them understand what we're trying to do here. And I think it's been a huge success, and just really helping to serve our clients better.
Absolutely, it's definitely been a huge success and inspiring to be a part of. I want to close by firstly saying a huge thank you to all our panelists, to Joyce from Citi, David from East Bali Poverty Project. We're amazed that the internet connection has been so great today, to Kundavi from Empower. To round off the conversation, we want to show some of the faces that make us hopeful for the future. And we have a video we would love to share. So this depicts some of the videos that the young people made to advocate for the changes in the community that David was speaking about.
Ini adalah foto Nyoman Sri Astiti, siswa kelas 5 SD yang bersekolah di SD Negeri 3 Ban yang ada di Dusun Darmaji. Nyoman belajar sendiri di rumahnya karena sekolah ditutup. Nyoman tidak bisa bertanya kepada orang tuanya karena orang tuanya sibuk di ladang. Sedangkan untuk siswa SMP dan SMA, karena mereka sudah memiliki HP, saat mereka tidak mengerti pelajaran, biasanya mereka akan mencari informasi di internet. Sedangkan siswa SD, karena mereka tidak memiliki HP, mereka biasa bertanya kepada kakak atau orang tua mereka. Tetapi, kondisi di desa Ban atau orang tua di desa Ban kebanyakan buta huruf, jadi sulit bagi mereka untuk mengajari anaknya. Sedangkan kondisi sinyal yang tidak bagus membuat siswa SMP dan SMA kesulitan mencari informasi di internet. Hanya ada titik-titik tertentu yang memiliki sinyal, itu pun tidak kuat. Saat membuat tugas, mereka biasanya akan pergi ke ladang, ke hutan, ke pura, atau ke pinggir jalan untuk membuat tugas secara bersama.
Ini adalah foto 2 orang siswa dari sekolah PKBM Ekotorin yang bernama Putu Surya dan Made Swadika. Mereka sedang mencari sinyal di pondok. Hampir setiap hari, anak-anak ini pergi ke ladang, karena di Dusun Bunga tidak ada sinyal. Untuk menuju ke ladang, mereka harus berjalan kaki selama 20 menit dari rumahnya masing-masing. Karena mencari sinyal ke ladang berisiko kepanasan dan kehujanan. Pondok ini dibangun oleh Komanggiri, yaitu salah satu warga yang prihatin melihat anak-anak sekolah belajar online di ladang. Pondok ini memiliki panjang 2 meter, lebar 1 meter, dan tinggi 180 cm. Itu pun cukup untuk 3 orang, sementara untuk berteduh. Pondok ini tidak ada listrik, jadi mereka tidak bisa mengisi baterai HP mereka jika baterai HP mereka habis. Dan mereka tidak bisa mencari sinyal pada malam hari karena tidak ada lampu. Selain itu, hujan deras, siswa-siswa tidak berani menghidupkan HP karena mereka takut petir. Dan atapnya sering bocor. Made Swardika bercerita tentang pengalamannya saat belajar online. Di situ hujan deras dan petir menyambar-nyambar. Mereka sangat ketakutan. Harapan mereka supaya mereka tidak mencari sinyal ke ladang lagi.
Harapan kami, semoga COVID cepat hilang, karena jika COVID hilang, masalah kami tentang belajar di rumah dan kesulitannya akan teratasi. Serta untuk tower sinyal yang ada di Panet semoga segera berfungsi, karena jika tower itu berfungsi, kami tidak kesulitan lagi saat mencari sinyal.
So that's all the time we have for today. Thank you again to everyone who joined us. Many thanks to Citi for Education. And a huge thank you again to our